They're like, not a skip on, but you said, oh, you're trying to I always just put it on my phone. But I came here and you don't have those.
Well, I was trying to figure out.
I remember when she was in this.
Yeah, really.
How long have you been with?
Last time that I had.
Oh, so you know my good friend, Mr. Ruff at work, Todd. I got him a job at my station when we were much younger back then.
He wanted time off. I had a tower on his cabin. Because he's so busy.
But I was getting good gigs. He calls me, he was in Marston. I'm out of
All the reporters kept switching out.
He was getting paid to do drone stuff at a music festival. I said, well, that's a tough. Might be careful.
He's gonna come to that.
Yeah, I know. We've already given him enough crap.
When I got home to the brush fire, I was good. City and then go through.
Yeah.
I had my phone just like on the side and I didn't have my watch on and I couldn't hear it.
These are clubs, I know.
And I just got like 15 calls and
No joke.
texts and emails and call me now. But I ended up
Standing away from the door.
somehow.
Yeah, well, I am too.
Into just getting some taken shots. There's nobody, there's no other media out there because I don't think they would let me do it. And somehow I just got through from a plane parked car. There are times where you probably never get towed. You might think it is. No. No? Really? Okay.
We can take it.
Okay.
I was definitely gonna add some ways because it was, yeah, but I've definitely been pulled over.
I don't know. But yeah, you're right, if you're flying by or going reasonable, they may let you slide. Yeah. It's a advantage of the thing I put on my dash, it says like honestly. Yeah. And we're on more of this.
I'm gonna be ready though.
It does help sometimes, especially when like going everywhere and like cops are like trying to block things
It's
off.
just
It's just like football games. It's pretty much. You guys have all the cool branded clothes and stuff. You just get like sweaters and jackets.
Well, they give us $150 allowance.
That's not bad.
And what the new guys get much more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't get anything like that. I had to buy this myself.
At first I was like, just like, wear stuff. And then I was like, wait a minute, I'm not paying $10 stores anymore.
Right? Yeah. I wish.
Clothing allowance?
Yeah, $120.
Still, I haven't heard that since like the
We
80s.
get everything we get off of Columbia for half price.
And then did the send the Joe Fest to the Rotary stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, they send.
That's nice.
You guys get a clothing allowance?
I bought this one.
No.
I think our company did.
Yes, I speak.
Oh,
Just the photographer.
just we're talking, what if you're running that band?
The only thing they get, I stretch your dollar a little farther.
I think we're sorry.
You made me.
I think so. I get going to make it.
I'm surprised you even right before the live shot.
Thing lasts me about 6 months.
Yeah. How's it going?
Oh, Abigail died.
Are you guys gonna hate me if I sit in front of you?
I want to hate you.
One of the other options.
Huh? Oh yeah, I do need that. Is that long enough to reach me?
No.
He'll be looking
Down.
down at you. If you want to stand in our row.
Yeah.
That's fine.
You said 3 seconds.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm ready, sir.
Scoot over, guys. Oh, and then I passed
Rick, still hold it for me, please. That's fine. One, is it?
Sorry, I couldn't.
Give him a mic check and a mic down.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
What's up?
Fox, 23 news.
I'm trying to motor drive too much with my cameras.
Maybe
Maybe that'll make it seem like a more legit press conference.
Does this sound good? I'll probably ask it at like this level. I'm gonna be a lot louder.
I would have done like the weird wire.
I'm gonna be touching it like this level and slightly.
But it's not a video, so I'm like,
It's weird that he's having
Yeah, I'm used
so
to it.
movie police do this.
It's the same brand case.
Okay.
Like,
Hello,
usually there's
hello.
multiple talkers that
3,
off the back
4,
of the
5,
lines
6.
doing it. That's just.
This is eerily similar to the last press conference we did here.
It's like whenever I would go, when I went to DC, I'd go to like the hearings, I was with the sessions hearings. Every time like he took a drink of water, everybody is right there.
Just because it's emotional.
Yeah, it's just something that he's not just.
Have you shot it before?
No, I've never been allowed to shoot before.
Okay, because in Colorado, so the guys put these boxes to sign.
So that's why I'll take this and like, if the judge will let me, but I've never had the judge let me actually do photo or video in it.
Well, they don't here.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But they got these big boxes that were bulky.
That's what's nice about these new murals, they're completely silent.
Being outside and I'm just like,
What's nice is like, whenever we're doing all these interviews, I do a video holding the guys looking through.
I had one, because when I got back to the station last night, I had one screen.
oh, okay.
So our recording folks I had
Between the questions that stop it.
Did you say
photos,
Yeah.
interviews because
I know, I'm like looking at my
I've showered, so I saw this.
Don't get me wrong, it's great, it's a lot of things, but like, it really sucks.
I've had it take over the night before. That's the worst. If I'm outside in nature, I would be walking like a little serious. I just like have
I feel like they're gonna pull my ear.
I'm like in chat.
I hate
No, the tip of my neck is a kid ruined my life. I literally is like constantly like, yeah.
It's like you can't see it in your snout.
I've had a wasp fly my ear before. I've had like.
Because sometimes when it turns dark,
Don't get a fly by the ground. I drown myself in the process.
I turned it off once, it's not going full 60 minutes.
I would put it around and then so record and then live.
Yeah.
gonna come on time. He'll be here right at 4. Okay. Okay. Thank you. He was coming on time. You get that, Ash? And you don't distract me. I'm actually doing this stuff. You can see that. I can't find my net text. I got this stuff.
My sponsor called out.
I need to, you find your notes, so I might get it away. We're going on time, I'll step down the way. Ashley, I'll step you over. Yes, he's still here. I'm not. Straight.
Is everybody ready? Good afternoon. My name is Joe Prentice, and the spelling is Joeprentice. I am police chief for the city of Okmulgee, and I also command the District 25 Violent Crime Task Force. With me is Carol Iskey, our district attorney, who sponsors the Violent Crime Task Force, and Sheriff Eddie Rice, who was one of the reporting agencies when this investigation started. I've got a brief statement that I'll read, and then I'll open it for questions and answer the questions that I can. As you know, Ivy Webster was reported missing to the Okmulgee County Sheriff's Office, and Brittany Brewer was reported missing to the Henrietta Police Department on Monday morning. I received a request shortly after to activate the Violent Crime Task Force. The task force began the investigation, and as part of that, obtained a search warrant for the property on Holly Road. Because of the extremely large size of the property, we requested assistance from the OSBI. During the search, the bodies of 7 individuals were recovered. All were sent to the medical examiner for autopsies, and those examinations have been completed. Scientific identification has been obtained on all 7 of the individuals, and I have information regarding their injuries. That being said, it is important to remember that all of this information is extremely preliminary, and no official reports from the medical examiner's office have been issued. The injuries include Ivy Webster suffered 1 gunshot wound to the head. Brittany Brewer suffered 1 gunshot wound to the head. Riley Allen suffered 1 gunshot wound to the head. Tiffany Guess suffered 2 gunshot wounds to the head. Michael Mayo suffered 2 gunshot wounds to the head. Holly McFadden suffered 3 gunshot wounds to the head. And Jesse McFadden appears to have shot himself in the head. I'm assisting the Violent Crime Task Force with the search, the crime scene, and the investigation were the following agencies: the Okmulgee County Sheriff's Office, the Henrietta Police Department, Henrietta Fire Department, OSBI, ATF, and the Muskogee Nation AG's office. That concludes my statement. I will answer any questions that I can.
Chief, when do you believe that these killings happened?
I don't know. Based on the investigation, we believe that the girls were spotted in Henrietta on Saturday night. Beyond that, I can't tell you.
Were the victims found in one spot?
No.
Whereabouts were they found?
Ivy, Brittany, and Riley were found separately, approximately 150 to 150 yards apart from each other, and approximately a quarter of a mile southeast of the McFadden residence.
Do we think they ran away?
I don't have any evidence to indicate that, but there's no way to know.
And the other two victims?
Well, there's more than just two more. The other four decedents were found together approximately 450, 500 yards east and a little bit south of where the three girls were found, and they were all together.
Was anyone able to call 911?
As far as I know, there was no 911 call made.
And do we believe that all these killings happened around the same time?
I don't have any evidence to indicate otherwise.
Chief, what led you guys to getting that search warrant? Because Emmy's office was there immediately with you guys when you guys were doing that. You guys got to the property that morning because he was the person you're looking for and stumbled across something and then back out like normal and asked for a search warrant?
Something very similar. That morning, deputies and task force members went out to the property in an effort to see if there was anyone there. While at the property, they got no response at the door, and they observed what they believed was a freshly disturbed area of dirt in the yard or the curtilage area around the residence. They came back and reported that, and we got a search warrant for the residence and the property.
Have you traced back this gun?
I'm sorry, one at a time.
Very similar questions. Have you traced back this gun and how did McFadden get the gun and what kind of firearm?
We did conduct an e-trace on the firearm. It was a 9mm handgun, and it was purchased in January of 2022 by Holly McFadden.
When you were talking about disturbed dirt, are you talking about graves, for lack of a better way to put it?
That's what the concern was when it was observed. We have since discovered that the property owner, who is not the McFaddens were renting. The property owner had cleaned out a horse pen and had dumped that debris there.
So they didn't see a body and then back out?
No, no,
There weren't graves dug or anything?
no,
Gotcha.
no.
Did McFadden leave a note?
I'm sorry?
Did McFadden leave a note?
No note was found.
Do we believe that he executed them?
I don't know that I would use the term executed. I believe that McFadden shot all of the other decedents.
So the victims had any defensive wounds or anything?
I didn't observe any. I haven't had any reported to me from the medical examiner's office, but I would caution you and remind you that this information is extremely preliminary.
And Chief,
Any other trauma to the body?
One at a time.
overall, what do you make of this situation? Family members tell us they believe this person planned this. What do you make of this? I'm guessing you've never dealt with anything like this before.
Several questions there. I follow the evidence, all right? And the evidence is that Jesse McFadden murdered 6 people and then killed himself. Beyond that, I don't know what his thought process was. Whether he planned this, and if he did, how long, I don't have any evidence to base an opinion one way or the other on that.
Was anyone tied up?
No.
Was there any other apparent trauma to the bodies other than these gunshot wounds?
None that I observed, but again, it's really early, and I haven't gotten anything from the medical examiner's
Chief,
office.
there was a text message sent to Ivy's parents Sunday night that was odd, they said. Do we believe that was sent by Jesse?
I'm not sure I know what text message you're talking about, so I can't comment intelligently.
Were there any signs of a fight?
I didn't observe any, no.
What's your theory of motive?
I don't think I want to speculate. I'm not gonna express a theory because, again, I follow the evidence and I don't have any evidence to indicate what the actual motive was. And I'm going to be honest with you folks. Normal people that understand care, love, compassion wouldn't understand if I could come up with it anyway.
Chief, what kind of impact does this have on law enforcement? I mean, this is now 2 weirdly similar cases that you've had to deal with in just the last 6 months.
Law enforcement is pretty resilient, and we know what we signed up for, and we play the hand that's dealt us. So when we get a call, we go. And with regard to how anyone is responding to it since the event, I don't have any indication that anybody's having any difficulties. We are conducting the follow-up investigation, which is doing some cleanup interviews and documenting everything that we discovered. just like we do in any other case.
Have you heard from other parents, other teenagers? We heard possibly that more teenagers were invited to.
I don't have any information along those lines. That's first I've heard of it.
Do we think he planned this?
I don't know.
Do we know if they were doing anything when the killings happened, like an activity of some sort outside?
Wasn't anything obvious.
Do you think he acted alone?
Don't have any evidence to indicate that there was anybody else involved.
Other than McFadden's rape conviction and his pending trial with porn charges, did he have any more recent run-ins with law enforcement that would act as warning signs?
Not that I'm aware of. Absent his lengthy prison sentence and his Muskogee County case.
How well did you know this person? I'm assuming he was in the sex offender registry, is someone.
Are we talking about Jesse McFadden? I personally did not know him. My understanding is he was a registered sex offender and was up to date on his registration.
So you guys had no prior calls to this house before this incident?
My agency would not have had any. The task force doesn't, as a matter of business, take calls for service. I would defer to the sheriff with that, and I would say that I am unaware of any others.
Chief, you said all the victims suffered gunshot wounds to the head. Did they come from the back or the front?
Some were to the side of the head, some were in the back of the head. There were injuries in the front of the head. So I would defer to the medical examiner for a firm answer on that. The short answer is I don't know for sure.
I know you're unsure of when exactly it happened. Is there any reason to believe that he did this and then waited a while and then killed himself later on?
Again, I follow the evidence. I don't have any evidence to indicate that. Anything is possible.
Do you have any time, how long do you think they were at that residence? Were they there gone all weekend? He showed up that Monday? Do you have any idea how long they were at?
My understanding is the girls were friends with Tiffany, who lived at the residence, and were allowed to go and spend the night with her on Saturday, and were supposed to come home Sunday, and when they didn't, they were reported missing. Beyond that, I don't have any information.
What were the ages of all the victims?
Bear with me, I knew there was a document I needed to bring with me. Tiffany was 13,
Ivy was 14.
Michael was 15, Riley was 17, Ivy was 14, Brittany was 16. Holly was 35, and Jesse McFadden was 39.
Just to confirm, the three, Riley, Tiffany, and Michael were all Holly's kids, not Jesse's.
That is my understanding, yes.
So these were his stepkids?
Yes.
And with
Did
the
he make
four-
any recordings on his phone of his deeds or try to post anything to social media that you can determine?
We recovered one phone from the residence that we believe is Holly's. We recovered pieces of a phone from a wooded area quite a ways from the residence. We do not know who it belonged to. If that's not his phone, we haven't located his phone.
Any other significant pieces of evidence other than those phones, the guns, and of course the bodies?
We took some other evidence, but nothing I'm willing to comment on.
Is there any indicator that any of the victims were drugged or anything?
Not that I'm aware of.
With the four family members being found together, did they appear to be sleeping?
Without going into a lot of detail, that scene appeared to be staged to me. And that is my opinion based on what I observed.
Staged as in the bodies?
I don't want to go into details. I think the bodies had been moved from where they were originally killed.
Were they all found outside?
Yes.
Okay.
But they weren't killed at the same time? I mean, some were killed at one occasion and then just given the distance you're talking about and then traveled somewhere else?
Well, there's no way we can know with certainty, but logic tells me that some were killed in an area 400 to 450 yards away from others. So yeah, there would have been some space of time there. Yes, sir.
Yes, are you certain about McFadden's sex offender registry status? We attempted to look him up and didn't find him there.
I am certain of what I've been told. I have not checked it myself.
Are you certain of Brittany Brewer's age? I was told by your father that she was 15.
No, I am not certain. That information was provided to me early on. I made a note of it, and I am not 100% certain of that.
I spoke with a former victim of his who was set to testify against him and the trial he was supposed to be on Monday, and he sent her text messages or Facebook messages the night previous. Have you spoken with her? Do you know anything about those messages?
We've received copies of those text messages. He did make contact with her, and I don't think it was a text message. I think it was a Facebook Messenger message, and tried to lay blame for his situation on her.
So do you believe that the killings happened prior or after those messages?
I don't have any way to know that.
You're the district attorney, correct? And this
That's correct.
person was supposed to have a jury trial Monday?
That was in Muskogee County, correct?
Is that your
No.
jurisdiction?
No, I'm Oakwogie and McIntosh.
Those text messages were blaming the victim for what he had done to Lisa.
No. My interpretation of the Facebook Messenger messages that I read was he was blaming her for his situation with the criminal case in Muskogee County.
Why is Oakwogie police on this instead of Henrietta?
Well, first of all, the scene was outside of the city limits of either Henrietta or Okmulgee and would fall under the jurisdiction of the sheriff's office. Okmulgee Police is involved because we are part of, and I in fact command, the District 25 Violent Crime Task Force, which conducts violent crime investigations in both Okmulgee and McIntosh County.
Again, with the timeline, I'm sorry, I know you don't have a lot of details, but can you give us an idea of how far apart these killings could be, or if they all happened at once?
I don't have any way to base any speculation on to give you a realistic timeline other than the distance between where the bodies were discovered. It could have happened in quick succession, or there could have been a significant amount of time between them. There's just absolutely no way for us to know.
I know you mentioned it already, but I'm just trying to get clarification. Can you explain again where the bodies were found and how close they were? It kind of sounds like maybe 3 were found close together, and then the other 4 were found like 2 different groups.
Yes, that's correct. From the McFadden residence, which is probably 100 yards off the road, approximately a quarter mile south and east of the residence, there is a creek. And the creek is within a tree line, but just barely. Ivy was found on the west side of that creek, approximately 100 to 150 yards away. Brittany was found, approximately another 100 to 150 yards away. Riley was found, and they were both on the east side of the creek. Then the other 4 decedents were all found together approximately another quarter mile more east than south, but southeast of where the 3 girls were found, in a heavily wooded area.
So they were found further away.
Yes, yes.
Chief, what kind of impact does a tragedy like this have on the community?
Well, part of the problem that the community suffers with something like this is everybody wants to understand why. And like I said before, normal people can't understand why. People that perpetrate crimes like this are evil. And normal folks like us can't understand why they do that. So I think that, besides the emotional trauma that people suffer because of the realization of what happened to these young kids, trying to figure out why is a challenge they'll never get past.
Was there anybody at the scene before all this happened that you've been able to determine who wasn't killed, or everybody who was there?
I have no evidence that anyone was at the scene leading up to the murders that was not killed.
Do you have any information? Was his residence recently searched, probation, parole? Was he in compliance, et cetera? Was he?
I don't have any information at all along those lines.
Were the bodies found with clothing or normal?
All bodies were closed.
I know you, I think this was asked, but I'm just gonna ask again, is, I mean, 6 people to trying to run away, any indicator that anyone tried to run away. That just seems like so many people to try and do that to without someone getting away.
You're having the same difficulty that we have trying to figure out exactly what happened, because all we have is where the bodies were positioned and the injuries to them to try to indicate what happened, and there's just no way to know.
Do you think this could admit that this was planned or spontaneous?
No way to know that.
And what is the district attorney's role in this? Now that,
This is my task force.
okay.
It's been reported that Jason McFadden was going to go to McAllister. Do you have any, before this happened, do you have an indication that actually happened, or he was not seen, or any evidence about that?
Based on information that we have available to us currently, we don't think they ever went to McAllister.
How did you all figure out that they didn't ever do McAllister?
The property in McAllister belongs to Jesse McFadden's family members, and we interviewed them, and they were cooperative and told us that they had never come down there. They hadn't come down there that weekend.
Are there any security or gaming cameras on the property that possibly could have captured anything?
Not that I've been made aware of.
Do we know when he dropped the car to his neighbor? I mean, when was the last sighting of him?
I believe he was sighted in Henrietta proper Saturday night. When I can't tell you when he dropped the car or why. Anything I tell you be a guess. All right, folks. I really appreciate your time. Thank you. And
Can I ask one more question? I'm
Sure.
sorry. You know, typically when there's homicides, murders, someone goes on trial. This someone is now deceased. What's next in this investigation to figure out what happened to bring families closure? Or what's next?
we have been in contact with the families and have shared information. In fact, we met with the families today prior to this press conference to give them the information that we gave you all, so they would hear it from us and not from the news media. Again, there are questions that will never get answered because the only people that know are no longer here. We will continue to document everything that we have found and anything that we discover in follow-up interviews moving forward and generate a report. We will submit that report to the district attorney's office for her review as a formality because there is no prosecution to be had here.
Can you describe the reaction of the families when this information was released?
Today, I was not present, so I'm not sure. Yes, sir.
One last thing, just for the purposes of our understanding, do you think you might be able to help us out and present some type of like map of like the crime scene that might help us better explain for people how spread out the crime scene was?
Currently, I don't have one for you. At some point in the future, crime scene investigators will map it. I have no idea how long that'll take.
Thank you.
You bet.
At this point, has the case been ruled as a murder, should we say?
At this, we don't ever just rule a case, to use your term, but we don't have any evidence to believe that it's anything other than 6 murders and a suicide.
Thank you, Chief.
In closing, what's your message to parents? This has affected so many people. We've heard from victims' families, got no idea of this person's convictions, previous history. What's your message? And it sounds like I don't know if it was easily available out there. What's your message to parents who see this?
I want to be clear, all right? I do not believe that the parents of Brittany or Ivy did anything wrong, and they are devastated by the loss of their children. That being said, I don't think you can be too careful with your kids. Know where they're going and who they're going to be with. All right, folks, thank you.
Thank you.